恭敬大圣子，为知法会集一切众生，尽转妙法莲教导我们如何疗伤痛苦离苦得乐，塑造不伤。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammabuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto sucedoye alahadi samyao sanputoshe.
Namo sadanto sujedoye alahadi sanmyo samputo-xie.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿皆如来真实义。Let's do the English together. We ready? Here we go. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely
is
encountered,
even in a billion
billions
beyond.
beyond.
But
But
now we see it, hear it, and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning.
Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. That's pretty good. That was Billy's first Dharma request. Mandarin is really improving for somebody who learned his Chinese at City of 10,000 Buddhas. That's pretty good. Your teachers should be proud of you. That was all right. So good evening in Berkeley, California. Good afternoon here in Queensland. My name is Heng Sure, and we're going to be investigating the Flower Garland Sutra for the next 90 minutes, particularly the 10 Stages chapter. And let me just say a word about what miraculous things are going on here in terms of technology. I'm sitting in a Buddha hall in the hinterlands outside of the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia. And outside the Buddha hall are spectacular, magnificent lotus flowers that have bloomed just today and continue to bloom. They're just eye-poppingly beautiful. But the weather otherwise, and the beauty of the lotuses, is dry as a bone. There are over 150 bushfires, wildfires burning in Queensland and New South Wales today. We are in the midst of a drought and fire disaster that is rivaled only by, if not surpassed by, California, which is the other place that our miracle is happening, which is the fact that on your end, I'm looking at the Buddha hall on my computer desktop here, seeing friends at Berkeley, California, at the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, including Dharma Masters Jin Chuan and Jin Fo. Our Dharma brother Jin Wei is not here tonight, which is Saturday night, the 7th of December. Why? Because he is writing 4 papers for his classes to conclude the fall semester at Dharma Realm Buddhist University. So he has our full sympathy. That's not an easy thing to do. So we gave him a break from monastic duties so he can be a better graduate student. Furthermore, if that weren't enough, Heng Sure, our other Dharma brother, just departed this morning from the Gold Coast for Malaysia, where he is off to be one of the staff members leading Buddha Root Farm Malaysia, number 3.0, at a place in Selangor called my Malay has just Kalumpang in Kalumpang. It's a wide spot on the road in the beautiful part of at the base of a mountain in Malaysia. So Heng Sure is on his way to Malaysia to get us all set up, and I'll be traveling there in 1 week. So tonight is for me possibly the last sutra lecture for 4 weeks in a row. We're going to invite Jin Sure, our elder bhikshu, to lecture on the Sutra of Buddha's Infinite Life, Wuliang Shou Jing. And at one point, when Jin Sure was explaining that text, we would say, "Oh, he's standing in for Heng Sure and kind of, substitute lecture." Well, it's not that way anymore. He's now been explaining that sutra long enough that it's now a main course. It's not a substitute dish. He doesn't get to lecture as much as I do, but people really enjoy his explanation of the Pure Land, and somehow they hear that there's a lot of sincerity in his explaining of the Infinite Life Sutra. So I don't want to say, "Oh, when I'm gone, you can hear a substitute lecture." What I want to say is there are people who are waiting and ready to tune in to the Infinite Life Sutra with Dharma Master Jinfo. So that's coming up, and I will. We're looking at the conditions, but chances are the next time you'll be hearing from me after this lecture will be in the second week of January. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays, and look forward to enjoying tonight's lecture. And then I will be, what am I doing? I'm going to Taiwan to represent Dharma Realm Buddhist University and the Master Shenhua Foundation, the Arts and Culture Foundation. Further, I'm going off to Buddha Root Farm, Malaysia, and I'm also going to Singapore. And in Singapore, we have a grand opening of the Singapore Buddhist Lodge, Shinjapo Fojiao Jushilin. The Buddhist Lodge is a place where they made Master Shenhua, our founder, very welcome in 1987 when he first traveled there, and I was part of that delegation. And we've been friends with the founder there and the Master Yen Shu, their monastic advisor and leading light. So we're looking forward to spending some time at the Buddhist Lodge and helping them do their kaiguang, they call it, do the inauguration of their brand new construction. It's quite spectacular Buddha Hall right in the center of Singapore. So looking forward to that. All of that travel takes me away for almost 4 months, but I'll be back here in the Gold Coast probably January 8th, and look forward to sharing with you pictures and stories of my travels. So let's get started with our lecture tonight. And I wanted, when we, at the right time, I'm going to show you some photos as well of the latest events here in the Gold Coast. Some photographs. Here is the title of the Flower Garland Sutra, if you look right there on the screen. And we have a custom now. We have a custom of chanting the name of the sutra and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas who brought it to us. We do it in Chinese. It's there on the bottom of the screen, those of you who want to join in. how we do it. Ready? Here we go. Do it 7 times. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Ma Yan Ji Ma Yan Hai O Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Ma Yan Ji Ma Yan Hai O Pu Sa Fang Guang Fu Huang Jin Ma Yan Hai Ho Tu Sa Na Fang Guang Fu Huang Jin Ma Yan Hai Ho Tu Sa Na An Jin Ma Yan Hai O Pu Sa Nam Ma Yan Jin Ma Yan Hai O Pu Sa. That accompaniment to our invocation came courtesy of an emerald 12-string guitar created by Emerald Guitars of Northern Ireland, Alistair Hay and his group. And we've got a wonderful amplifier here made by Henriksen Amplifiers in Fort Collins, Colorado. And together that makes a very ethereal kind of tinkly very wonderful sound to extend our welcome, invisibly, but nonetheless sincerely, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Flower Garland Assembly. So what's going on with our text? Those of you who are regulars know the story, which is that the chapter is called the 10 Stages. In Chinese, they call it the 十地品. 大方广佛华严经十地品, Di, Shi, Di. We're on the 10th stage of 10, so we're almost done with the chapter. We've been explaining it for many years now. And the topic of the sutra is the Bodhisattva path. It's how Bodhisattvas behave, how they think, how they speak, how they cultivate, the vows they make. It takes us right into their hearts and shows how a very unselfish, altruistic human being can live. And we're on page 8 of our new text, page 8. What we've been looking at recently is the very beginning of the 10th stage, and it's a live action shot in the sutra. It's very cinematic, kind of like a movie, that we have devas, particularly it specifies they're females, celestial maidens, who have been welcoming the Buddha to speak. And interestingly, it's not the Buddha who explains it, it's a bodhisattva. His name is Jingang Zang Pusa, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva. And Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva has received the Buddha's investiture. He's received his deputizing. He's become his spokesperson. He's the mouthpiece of the Buddha for explaining this particular body of knowledge. And that takes us right into what the sutra is about. It's how to be a 10th stage bodhisattva, a set of instructions. So we've heard this now 9 different times, all the different stages coming up to the last one. And so the deva maidens, the women who fly around in the sky and throw flowers and play music and sing, the sutra's been telling us how they praise the Buddha, the things they sing about. We get to read their song and hear it. And we've actually been We've been singing the sutra along with the celestial maidens. Who knows? They may plug their ears when it's our turn. But anyway, we try our best. And they just finished their praises of the Buddha. And that's our first we'll start today on page 8 at the top. Wu Liang Wu Bian Tian Nu Zhong, that place. Okay, everybody ready? I'm going to put my palms together and invite you to join me if you like. And here we go. Oh, let's see. How about if we do it together? That's probably better because there's a gap between down under and up over. And if I wait for you, we probably won't be able to do it in harmony because of the gap in technology. So here we go.
Dharma Master, on your screen, we only have or Jerry? The screen doesn't have Dharma Master's text.
Okay, let's see. What can I do to make that happen? I am sharing.
You're sharing? Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Tell me when it works.
I think it might be our side.
Your side, okay. Let's do this. Do you guys have? You don't have booklets there at BBM, right?
We do. Okay, we got it now. It came up.
Got it?
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Ready? Here we go. Let's read. Read it together. Wu liang wu bian tian nu zhong 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 yan yin cheng zan yi shen xin qi jing gong an le zhan yang ru lai mo ran zhu. To the right. Here we go. Ready? Let's see now. I'm sliding over to the English here, Sam. Ready? Here we go. When the limitless throngs of celestial maidens had completed their praises using all manner of sounds, their bodies and minds fell quiet. They were happy as they gazed in silence upon the thus come one. Okay, so the Buddha is there. The Buddha is there in the heavens waiting to speak, but he doesn't actually emit sound. Vajra Treasury does. Nonetheless, the Deva maidens, it says, using all manner of sounds. You can imagine what kind of music they made. You know, the celestial orchestra. Actually, I just came back from Dunhuang in Gansu province in far northwestern China and saw the cave paintings that had been painted in the Tang Dynasty, the Song Dynasty, the Yuan Dynasty, 1,400 years ago, 1,200 years ago, 1,000 years ago. And there are numerous paintings of exactly this, devas making music. Now, did the artists who painted the wall paintings at Dunhuang see those devas flying through space? It's possible. Hard to verify, right? Did they have Tian Yan Tong? They have the ability to see with deva vision? It's possible because one of the amazing things about the paintings at Dunhuang is the devas, as they fly, you can see that the fabric of their robes is correct in terms of physics. It looks just as if the wind were whipping their deva robes through the air behind them. How did they know that if they weren't seeing the actual devas? It's fascinating to conjecture, no, to guess. You know, were these some sort of extraterrestrial artists who were seeing, you know, the gods in the heavens? Just astonishing. And what were they playing? Some are playing harps, you know, like lyres, like the Mediterranean Grecian lyre, stringed instrument. Some are playing flutes, dizi, like this. Some are playing dongxiao, long ones like this. Others are playing drums, percussion. Some have got like maracas type thing. And it's an orchestra. And when you hear it say, you know, 无量无边天女众，种种因缘，眼因成善已, right? Multiple kinds, many kinds of sounds came forward. You think, that's what it was. There's a picture of it, and it's in Gansu province. We've seen this. Then, having made that music, having praised the Buddha, they were happy, they were done, and they probably put their palms together and gazed at the Buddha in silence. So this is the theme music leading up to the Buddha's speaking Dharma. How cool is that? I mean, it's so every from Johnny Carson on, every keynote before he does his program has his da dun dun da dum da dee da dum. There's the plays the theme music, and then silence ready for the words that follow. Okay, 即是菩萨解脱乐，持住众会显其境，向金刚藏而请言，大无畏者真佛子。Oh, I gotta stop moving. There we go. Here we go. At that time, the Bodhisattva, moon of liberation, perceiving the multitudes were now still and quiet, addressed Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva with these words, O true disciple of the Buddha, great fearless one that you are, comma. Okay, this is the second figure that whose name we've heard. The third, if the Buddha is the first, Vajra Treasury is two. Here's Moon of Liberation. Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva is the Dharma requester officially. He's the one who, just like Billy just a minute ago, did the Dharma request for us in Berkeley. Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva is the one who 9 times, now 10th time, has said, we are ready. Please speak Dharma. He praises Vajra Treasury. He says, Da Wu Weizhe, you who are fearless, Zhen Fozi, the true Buddhist disciple. He says, Cong di jiu di, ru shi di, soyo gong de, zhu heng xiang, qi yi shen tong, bian hua shi, yuan cong hui zhe wei xuan shuo. Please proclaim for us all the aspects of practice, from the 9th stage to the 10th stage, with all the meritorious virtues, and explain the particulars of the transformations through psychic powers. We hope to learn this all from you, O wise one. Okay. Ji Shen Tong Bian Hua Shi. Notice the request. What does he want? He says, from the 9th stage to the 10th stage, that's what we just covered. Took us, how long have we been lecturing on the 9th stage? Months. Right? All of the Gong De Zhu Heng Xiang, all of the good stuff that comes from what you did, the practices. You remember what those were? The practices on the 9th stage had to do with speaking Dharma and what was called Dharani, Toloni, the ability to access another entire capacity that medical science does not know about yet, that is innate in every human, the ability to make a single sound and be heard by numerous people at once. That Toloni, Dharani, boy, if somebody could capture Toloni with a medical instrument, have some way to chart it, so the graph, so that what parts of the brain light up when a human, when you or me or somebody gets the ability of Dharani, we would revolutionize medical science and meditation. Suddenly the monastery would be full of people like waiting in line to get instruction on how to meditate so that Dharani could function for them. Imagine politicians. They could speak to everybody in the party at once, right? And convince them to vote the party ticket, right? Oh boy. So he says, I want to know about all that. Furthermore, 神通变化是. Oh boy. What are 神通? 神通. This is a controversial aspect of Buddhist practice from the very beginning. Theravada talks about it, Mahayana talks about it, Vajrayana talks about it. The two words in Chinese are shen, spirit, and tong, connection, penetrating, bridging. When the spirit or spiritual powers, tong, connect, miraculous things occur. When I was in high school, a book was made popular called Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. And if I understand it correctly, it was that during the Stalin era, the Russian government invested in people being able to use something beyond their six senses to know things, see things. They were hoping to weaponize psychic abilities. And they actually had funded institutes, and they paid for people to get training in these things. And so, of course, American science being so empirical, has to be provable, has to be peer reviewed. Maybe secretly, maybe there were secret institutes funded by the CIA or the FBI or the NSA, the Department of Defense. We don't know about that. But the Russians got there first, for sure. And a book was published called Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. And they were very interested in 神通变化是. What can the human body do, the human mind, with things like telepathy, right? The ability to know. 就说他心通, telepathy is 他心通. What about, there are Greek words for this, telepathy. The ability to see beyond is called, somebody have it for me? There's telemetry, measuring.
Clairvoyance?
Clairvoyance. 5 points to the monk in the front there. Clairvoyance. And then 5 more points if you can get the audio. Clairaudience. Clairaudience. I got you. Good. So, telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and knowledge of past lives, accurate knowledge of past lives, etc. And so, in the book called Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, I don't know, was it smuggled out? Somehow the knowledge of what the Russians had discovered just excited everyone because, oh my goodness, like, remember Sputnik? I was a young man when Sputnik took the first dog into space, Lika, remember? The first space dog from Russia. Oh my goodness, and America was caught flat-footed. We were second into space. The Russians beat us. Then Yuri Gagarin was the first cosmonaut who, I don't think he went into orbit. I think he went up and came down safely. And then finally, I think it was Kennedy, President Kennedy, suddenly pumped all the money into NASA because we couldn't let our rivals, the Russians, beat us into space. So, likewise, discovery about Shantong psychic abilities. Now, the one place in America where psychic research was being carried out was Duke University in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And there was some, the ability to bend spoons. You could take here we go, ready? You could take it and it would, like that. It would bend, right? Anybody see The Matrix? There is no spoon. There is no mind, right? And the spoon bends. So that kind of thing was what was exciting about psyche discoveries. Now, what's going on? It's people fully engaged in their eyes, their ears, their nose, their tongue, their body, and their mind, trying to get those functions to do something that ordinary functioning does not allow. Here is Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva asking another major Bodhisattva, an accomplished Bodhisattva, Vajra Treasury, hey, he says, explain the particulars of transformations through psychic powers. And we're going to get that. He fully expects Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva is going to say to him, okay, there is Tianyan Tong, the ability to see into the heavens and the hells, using what? No apparatus. Nothing with batteries, nothing that plugs in, nothing that you can upgrade, right? It's just what you already have intact in yourself. That when you have the ability to connect the Tianyan, your Deva eye, you can see the things of the heavens, you can see the things in the hells, in detail, without error. There is, number 2, Tian Er Tong, the ability to hear way beyond what my ordinary ears can hear. You can hear what's being talked about by the Devas in the heavens and in the other realms of rebirth. You're able to hear the voices of mosquitoes. You're able to hear under the water, Just your ears have this function built in that allows you to hear these things. And science doesn't know about this, right? But for the Bodhisattvas, here in the Buddhist Sutra, this is not airy-fairy nonsense, right? This is as scientific and provable and testable as gravity, all right? Here's my cable, and if I drop it 10 times out of 10, it's going to go down, right? At no time am I going to drop it and it's going to stop and float up because of gravity. That's testable. So psychic abilities the Buddha is describing are equally verifiable among people who have cultivated their presence, just like Dharani on the 9th stage. Okay, we got 2. We have the Deva eye, we have the Deva ear. What else? We have Ta Xin Tong, knowledge of others' thoughts, right? And telepathy, the ability to know what you're thinking without a stethoscope. Doctors want to hear your heartbeat. They put a stethoscope on your chest. Well, I don't need a stethoscope if I have Ta Xin Tong. I simply turn it on. What do you do? How do you do it? And I understand what's going on in detail in your thoughts, right? Oh boy, a mind reader. You're a mind reader. Yeah, completely a mind reader. Then what? Another one, number 4, is Su Ming Tong. Su Ming Tong, Xu Ming Tong, the ability to know past lives. Now, our very sutra, in fact, our very chapter in the sutra, this 10 stages chapter, the 4th stage, Di Su Di, is where the details come out about psychic powers, psychic abilities. And it says that somebody who has Xu Ming Tong, Su Ming Tong, do you say Xu Ming or Su Ming? Su Ming, huh? The Su Ming Tong, that person can know past lives for 1 lifetime, 100 lifetimes, 10,000 lifetimes. In every lifetime, they know what my name was. They know what street I lived on, what I had for breakfast, on what day. Subtle details are available to you if you have the Su Ming Tong. Okay, how about that? And people, I'm sure, like, slow down here. Number 5 is what? Number 5 is called Shen Zu Tong, the general psychic powers. It's in Chinese, the literal translation is spiritual feat, or 祖 if it's 具足 is fulfillment, the fulfillment of the human spirit. And that's a very interesting concept, because what do we have to compare? We have Marvel comics and stories. We have the Marvel movie industry. Anybody seen the Avengers or Spider-Man? Spider-Man, because he was bitten by a spider, radioactive spider. More importantly are the current, the Avengers, and I don't have the name of the latest. But the Marvel Comics universe has people with special powers, and everybody has their own special ability. The Green Hornet, right? The Flash, and who else? Black Widow, and Thor, Captain America, all these different abilities that they have. And if the abilities of psychic power number 5, the perfected spirit or psychic powers, if those were known, Marvel Comics would be out of business. Marvel Comics would seem so pale by comparison, because you, the ordinary meditator, get to do things like what? There are 18 abilities. They cross over with what are called Luohan Shibabian, the Arhat's 18 transformations. They include such things as the ability to walk on water. I think Jesus did that. The ability to dive into solid things like the earth as if it were water. Walk on the water like it was land. Dive through the earth like it was water. Stretch your hand up and touch the sun and moon, should you care to. The ability to fly through the air effortlessly, as you choose, like a bird. The ability to emit fire from the bottom of your body and water from the top of your body, or vice versa. Why would you want to do that? Beyond me, but you can. And mastery of the elements like that. So there are 18 in all, the Luohan Shibabian, that are included in the Shanzu Tong. And why is this? Again, it's innate in all of us, but it's just an ability to fire up and kind of, what do they say, boot up programs that are already embedded in the human body and mind. How amazing, right? And you think, oh, this monk has been, what's in the water there in Queensland that he's talking like this? Absolutely ordinary talk for the Mahayana Sutras, even the Theravada traditions as well. And what's going on? Muna Liberation Bodhisattva says, hey, we want to hear about these things. Tell us about the Shantung Bianhua Shi. The last one, I only gave you 5 so far, right? There's one more. The last one is called Lou Jin Tong, the end of outflowing energy. Now, these subjects, this is not the first time we've explained them. When we went through the 4th stage, the text talks about these in great detail. So, in the lore, in the stories of the Shantong, they're called, by the way, Liu Tong, the 6 powers, and there's also the Wu Yan, the 5 eyes. So the full set is 5 spiritual eyes and 6 psychic powers. And in the lore of these, they say that there are negative energies in the universe called demons. Mara, by name, he is the king of the demons. He is able to command 5 out of 6 Shantong. The 6th one, he cannot. Number 6 is not available to Mara, the murderer, the killer, what Mara means. This ending of outflows, literally, word for word, that's Chinglish. Lo, Jin, Tong, outflows come to an end. What does it mean? The Buddha alone is able to command the 6th power because he has turned back through the power of his samadhi all of his own energy and transformed it. So Mara is not interested in doing that. The demon king wants to use those energies and take yours as well. So how interesting, right? That's psychologically very interesting lore, that Mara and the Buddha are almost a match, but it's in ethical, moral purity that the Buddha surpasses the demon king and transforms it into a psychic power. And with the Lo Jin Tong, that sixth power, the Buddha's wisdom is complete and his compassion starts to function. How about that? And I think that's so interesting, because it gives an insight into the character of the demon and the character of the Buddha by contrast, right? So, Lo Jin Tong. Now, interesting, these psychic powers, psychic abilities, according to the lore passed on in Buddhism, is extensive. There's a lot of talk about these. For example, dragons, says the lore, have some of the Arhat's 18 abilities. They cultivated for them, but because they didn't keep their precept foundation solid, they received animal bodies in their rebirth, but they still have ability to make themselves large, make themselves small, the ability to fly, things like that. So mastery of the 5 elements: water, wood, metal, fire, and earth, or the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water, excluding wood and metal. So this ability is shared in Chinese spiritual lore with the Taoists to a limited extent. They say even the devas, the Si Tianwang, the devas in the heavens, have some Shantong psychic powers. There are stories in the Avatamsaka Sutra that King Shakra Devanam Indra, the god of the 33 heavens, is able to use psychic powers when he goes to war with the Asuras. So there's warfare in the sky, warfare in the heavens. You can be reborn in heaven and still be a soldier. Think of that. And there are great stories about. Now, is this what you came to hear tonight when you wanted to hear the sutra? About all of the details of psychic powers. There's stories in the sutras that say there are these beings called Asuras. Some people pronounce it without the H, Asura, right? Asuras. Ashulo in Chinese. And these Asuras, they are not human, they're superhuman. They are fighters. They're beings who live for contest. They want to fight. They want to win. They want to defeat, right? They love struggle and victory. And interestingly, among the 6 paths of rebirth, there is not a place where Asuras live. They appear in all the other 5 realms. So there can be Asuras among the heavens, among humanity, Asuras in the animal realm. And how do you know who is an Asura? Well, you don't really, and you can't ask. They won't hand you their name card. But if you see someone who, amid normal folks, is always fighting for victory, for example, bandits, robbers, they say, and the police who pursue the robbers might both belong to the realm of Asuras among humans. They say great generals, military generals, could easily be Asuras because they rise through the ranks to be the leaders of the fighters. I'm reminded of General Rommel, the Panzer Tank Corps commander of the Third Reich in Germany. The Second World War, struggled in the desert of North Africa with General Montgomery, who was the leader of the British Tank Command. And both of them, interestingly enough, were Scorpios, born the scorpions in the desert, fighting with their tanks. Now, I'm not going to claim that General Rommel and General Montgomery were Asuras, but if you wanted to find someone who displayed Ashura-like capabilities, it would be those two tank commanders. And then General Patton from the American side, who led his victorious army after the invasion of Normandy into Germany and defeated the Germans and received their surrender. General Patton could be seen to be Ashura-like with his fierce and victorious ways. So there can be virtuous Asuras. They say that great athletes are often Asuras, victorious, because amid all the other members of the team, they are the ones who find their way through to score the goal or protect against others scoring. So, interesting concept, right? That Asuras appear among us, and they are people who just live to fight. They say Ashura women are marked by great beauty, and Ashura males are marked by the opposite, by great ugliness, they say. Interesting. Now, I'm going to suggest that they also appear in the animals realm. Master Hua would say that sharks and barracudas in the ocean, they're marine creatures that everyone else is afraid of. Maybe, what are they called? Killer whales, right? Might be Ashura among the animals. Here in the Gold Coast, we have Ashura creatures. I'm going to show you a photograph. Here is a conflict between Asuras. Not him. No, he's... you can't... I'm sorry, here in Gold Coast we have 7 friends who would love to see these pictures, but we're not online here for you all. One moment. Where's our lorries and turkeys? Here we are. Here is a conflict among Asuras. Right there. I don't know if you all can see. There is a rainbow lorikeet standing on the edge of his food dish, making his body as tall as he can possibly be. And he is this little tiny bird that would barely fit in the palm of your hand. And Niman Kanka, here he is. Can you see our lorikeet struggling with a bird that is 20 times larger than he is? And who wins? The little bird wins. I saw it happen today. So this is the state of Asuras among the birds. These little tiny, beautifully rainbow-colored creatures, the lorikeets, are absolutely fearless as they subdue all comers. So, if there were any Asuras among the birds in Australia, it would definitely be rainbow lorikeets. They are fearless, pugnacious, and undefeated. They don't yield to anyone. Okay, so why am I telling you this? It's because in the Avatamsaka Sutra, the chapter called the Heng Sure, the Worthy Leader chapter, there is a description of warfare between Asuras and Devas. And the sutra takes us into the realm of a king. His name is Shakra Devanam Indra, Lord Shakra. Shirti Huanyin, his name is. And he is fighting for the Devas. And it describes an attack by the Asura army into the heavens. And they say that that's a commonplace thing that happens, is the Asuras have the power of the how does it go? They have the blessings of the heavens, but not the authority to be gods, and yet they want to be gods. So they attack, and what does Shakra do? He uses his Shen Tong Miao Yong to fight the Asuras. And the sutra says he makes appear a fierce head with teeth sticking out of his mouth, eyes shooting thunderbolts from his eyes, and he extends his hands. He has multiple hands, each one holding Vajra, Asura crushing pestles and superpower weapons. And he multiplies his body so that every Asura sees Shakra coming down directly at him with all of these weapons and like that, and his teeth, and they all go, "Oh, I'm not going to mess with that," and they retreat. And it's totally illusory. It's Shen Tong Miao Yong. This is his psychic ability, right? So that's how the gods who have some of these abilities use their Shen Tong to keep their authority in the heavens. Now, people go, "Oh, that's a funny fairy tale." I think I saw that on television on Saturday morning, a cartoon like that, right? Wait a minute. Those of you who read Greek mythology, did you read the book when I was growing up? Was Edith Hamilton was the author who interpreted the stories of the Greek gods. Have you heard of the Titans? And what do the Titans do? The Titans have these huge bodies. They go fight with Mount Olympus, with the gods of Mount Olympus. Same story. What? How could it? So yes, the Hellenistic mythology of the Greeks and the Indian mythology of the Hindus that led to these stories of how the Buddhas perceive reality completely mesh. I wouldn't say completely, but come on. You have Titans fighting in the heavens with the Mount Olympus gods. You have Asuras fighting in the heavens with Lord Shakra and the gods. In adjoining cultures, the Greek world and the Indian world, same stories. Interesting, huh? Somebody might want to pick that up for an MA thesis project. I'll be happy to take an acknowledgement in your footnotes if you want to credit me for. So he says, please explain the particulars of the transformations through psychic powers. We want to learn this from you, oh wise one. 贤慧者, right? What is it? They call him 聪慧者. 聪慧者. Please tell us about all this stuff. We want to hear about it. Okay. That's the request. That is our Qing Fa right there. You just heard Moon of Liberation, Jetoya Pusa, just now requested Dharma. Alrighty, let's see now. I'm going to plunge ahead. Let's make some progress in our chapter. You ready? You ready for a big bite of sutra? I'll go ahead and read it at my speed. You all can listen in or read along as you like. Here we go. 20金刚藏菩萨摩诃萨告伽陀月菩萨言：佛子，菩萨摩诃萨从初地乃至第九地，以如是无量智慧，观察觉了已。善思维修习，善满足百法，即无边助道法，增长大福德智慧， 广行大悲，知世界差别，入众生界愁林，入如来所行处，随顺如来机灭横，常观察如来力，无所谓不公佛法，名为得一切种，一切智智受之位。There we go. Big piece of text. What did we say? Here we go. Ready? Just then, Bodhisattva Mahasattva Vajra Treasury said to Bodhisattva Moon of Liberation, disciples of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, who has traveled from the first stage to the ninth stage, and who is now awakened through limitless wisdom and contemplation, grows skillful in reflecting upon and cultivating what he has learned. He skillfully brings immaculate dharmas to perfection. He amasses boundlessly many dharmas that aid the way. He augments great blessings, virtues, and wisdom. He practices great compassion on a vast scale. He knows the differences among worlds. He enters the dense thickets of sentient beings' realms. He masters places where Tathagatas practice. He accords with the Tathagatas' practices of stillness. He always contemplates a Tathagata's powers, fearlessnesses, and unshared dharmas of a Buddha. He merits the title, one who has attained the wisdom of all modes, and he qualifies to that rank. Probably an S, qualifies to that rank. Okay, there we are. This is Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva's opening statement for the 10th stage. And what does he do? As a pattern, first thing they do is they talk about what is unique in the transition from the previous ground to this current stage, from the previous stage to this stage. So he traveled from the first stage to the ninth stage previously, all the way along, and he's now good at contemplating and cultivating. He can reflect on what he's learned, he can cultivate it. What is he saying? He's saying something that I haven't heard other people say about the 10 stages, which is it's a training. This is education. This is technical, progressive ability, right? Our Bodhisattva, step by step by step, has gotten really good at doing what Bodhisattvas do because he's been trained in the 10 stages Dharma. He is now what? Skillful, good at Guancha and Shouxi, what he has learned. He's got it. He's now mastered it. He's a really skillful Bodhisattva to this point. How about that? That, I think, is sufficient evidence to make my point that the 10 stages are instructions. This is how to. This is how to be a bodhisattva. If you want to ask the question, 菩萨道怎么修呢? How do you cultivate the bodhisattva path? Here's the answer. This is it. And there's been a lot. It's a long chapter. He's gone through stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now he's ready for number 10. And, okay, Vajra Treasury then gives us a list. He says, notice the verbs. Do y'all see these verbs? Skillfully brings, dharmas, amasses, augments, practices, knows, enters, masters, and accords, contemplates, and merits. These are all active verbs, right? Every one so far. So, what does he do? He's good at bringing dharmas, techniques, methods to perfection. He can really cultivate them. What's he talking about? He's a really good meditator. When he meditates, he's good at it. He just doesn't move. Boom, samadhi. He can recite. They say, Yi Xin Bulan, right? The person is able to recite without thoughts moving at all. Okay? amasses boundlessly many dharmas that aid the way. What would that be like? Well, the ability to speak skillfully. That's a dharma that aids the way. Probably Tai Chi Chuan. This bodhisattva is probably really good at Tai Chi. Or it might even be Shaolin Kung Fu or Taekwondo or yoga, right? Those are all things that aid the way. Probably a good cook. Probably able to make delicious vegetarian, harmless, plant-based food. That's a dharma that aids the way. Probably has nice handwriting. Dharma that aids the way, right? These are all 助道之法, they're called. And this cultivator, in the process of 9 stages, has gotten good at it. Okay? Blessings, virtues, and wisdom, all of the good stuff of cultivation, he's 增长, grown them. Great compassion. This person is very kind-hearted, a softie. Not someone who insists on getting a bargain. Gotta get the best deal, right? No. You get the good part. This person will take the short end of the stick. 他会吃亏, right? He doesn't insist on being number one. Okay, what else? Knows the differences in worlds. Can tell. Here's one. Here's a difference in worlds. We are about to announce here in DRBA, Dharma Realm Buddhist Association, about to announce the transmission of the 在家菩萨戒, the precepts for the Bodhisattva precepts for laity. This is the 6 major and the 28 minor precepts. 26 minor precepts. And people have been waiting a long time for this announcement. It's going to happen in July at City of 10,000 Buddhas in Ukiah next year, 2020. And people have to apply. There's an application form that's going to be made available at every branch monastery. So if Gold Coast Dharma Realm here is your branch, there'll be an announcement, there's a form in Chinese, a form in English, fill it out. And we require people to have taken the 5 precepts and taken refuge in. We want to see your precept certificate, because the lay bodhisattva precepts are another level of ability, another level of commitment. When you receive the lay bodhisattva precepts, you are what's called a lay minister, essentially. In some traditions, you'd be called a lay minister. Now, you'll find out more about that. I'm just kind of previewing that news because we just decided on the details now. People have been waiting for some time, so I'm sure they'll be glad to know that this is going to happen. And we will not be transmitting the 42 手眼, 42 hands and eyes. That's not part of it this time, so people can know about that. What's the connection between differences among worlds, right? It's that last night we looked at the text and the language of the 在家菩萨戒, the lay bodhisattva precepts. And it's necessary to bridge one world to another in order to make sense. We are right now, you could say, when we're explaining a sutra that was first written in an Indian language, we received it in a Chinese version. Master Hua explained it in detail for 9 years. Now we've got an English version. We're bridging differences in worlds. Boy, the lay bodhisattva precepts are different worlds of expectation of human behavior. The text that we have came from the Tang Dynasty. So what was that? That's 700, the 8th century to the 10th century. 7th century to the 10th century in China. Well, that was, 1,400 years ago. So that's a world. And the expectations for standards of behavior from the Tang Dynasty to the 21st century are truly different worlds. Our Bodhisattva knows the differences and is able to build a big, sturdy bridge between them so that when we touch the worlds of ethical standards, Bodhisattva precepts, first established in China in the Tang Dynasty, and we read them from our time, 21st century, they go, yes, I see the heart of them. I see the core compassion and kindness that motivated the original takers of the Bodhisattva precepts, and I want to make those my standards. Okay, how would you do that? That's quite a challenge, right? This Bodhisattva bridges those worlds. So we will be transmitting the Bodhisattva precepts, and between now and then, we are going to build a strong bridge so that people can say, I can imagine myself living by that new standard of ethical commitment. Yeah, my heart beats faster when I see I would like to come up to that level of conduct. So yeah, challenge, real stuff. The Bodhisattva enters the dense thicket of sentient beings' realms. Oh boy, we went through a whole section of dense thicket of views. What's a dense thicket like? You can't get through it. It's too dense. It's too overgrown with weeds and hard to navigate, right? You lose your way in the dense thicket. So that's metaphorical language for the Buddha's vision of what most of us are like in our minds. Hard to get through, hard to understand. Lots of deep ideas held thickly, held densely, right? Dense thickets of thick density. Oh boy, lots of ideas. And they kind of grow like brambles, like berry vines. Hard to travel through a berry bramble. That's our attitudes in our minds. And cultivation, what does cultivation do? It gets in and it prunes away 2/3 of the wood so that from that dense thicket comes beautiful, productive, wholesome, well-lit, and airy stems, branches, trunks, leaves, flowers, and fruits. So cultivation is exactly the practice of turning a dense thicket into a beautiful grove where people, animals, devas, birds, sunlight, moonlight, all coexist beautifully. So sentient beings, before we cultivate, we are dense thickets from the Buddhist point of view. And cultivation is the practice of turning a dense thicket into bodhisattva's knowledge and viewpoints. This bodhisattva can master places where Tathagata's practice accords with the samadhi of the Buddha, Tathagata's name for the Buddha, and contemplates these three very interesting aspects, which are what? Li wu wei bu gong fa. 佛如来施力四无为十八不共法. That's a list of that come up only in the higher levels of the bodhisattva's awareness. Special dharmas. This is high-level cultivation. This is post-doc cultivation, right? Furthermore, says this bodhisattva is one who can be called. Somebody who got 一切种, 一切智智, 受智慧. Someone who is at that position, qualified to be at that 智慧 of one who has this wisdom, 一切种, 一切智智, great wisdom. All right? What is it? It's a description of this bodhisattva we're going to find out more about this Bodhisattva in the next series of lectures. How cool is that? Now, not that. Wait here. Recent. That one. Nope. Come back here. Playing with Dropbox here. Here we go. That's what I want. Okay. I have a story talking about worlds. Had a very interesting experience yesterday. In last night's Sutra lecture here in the Gold Coast, I talked about 2 years, 1917, 2017, we had a big rainstorm, big windstorm, and a tree blew over, and it unearthed this sentient being. We named her Seraphina. This is a carpet python that is quite big, hard to see, but she goes from here all the way to there. This is a large carpet snake called a carpet python, and completely at home here in the bush of southeastern Queensland. In fact, symbiotic with the environment, and could be called an apex predator, because in this environment, if it fits in her mouth, she will eat it, particularly little furry things. Main diet is rodents. But Australia has so many little kinds of critters on 4 legs, such as bush rats and mice and possums and potoroos and wombats. I don't think pythons eat wombats, but there's lots of little sugar gliders, and our carpet python thrives on all these different creatures. So her tree blew down, and she had to find a new home. And so Jin Husher and I were sitting on my deck over in the men's campus here, and we heard birds shouting. And the birds are like, quack, 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 quack. And yeah, just like that. And we looked down and we said, why is that? We looked up, and why are the Currawongs shouting? And we looked down and we saw this. We saw an 8-foot carpet snake. And sure enough, it was Seraphina. It's the very same snake that we saw 2 years ago. And there she was. And she stayed there and looked at us, talked to us without words for about half an hour. There she was. There's just like this very, very large creature. And so we took pictures of her and spoke Dharma and listened to her. Are you a Dharma protector? Are you a great Naga? Are you a Tianlong? Maybe a dragon transformed into a snake's body to come down to take care of us. Lots of monks' thoughts, fantasy thoughts like that. But nonetheless, it was a remarkable, 8-foot-long snake, and just very healthy and very at home there in the bush. Well, she disappeared under my house. My house is set on a hillside, and so there's area, and she crawled up underneath the joists of the house and made herself at home. So of course I had to think, every time I take a step on my floor, I'm stepping on her ceiling just above her. Okay, so far so good. We were thinking, wowee, look out, mice and rats, because your days are numbered if you're trying to live here with that carpet python. She will certainly seek you out and gobble you down. And so back to last night, I was showing these pictures to our community here, and I got in the cart, because it's dark here after 9 o'clock, drove back to my house. We were talking. We came around the corner, And there was our snake. She was just traveling up the porch into the tea tree that's right beside my deck, my porch. And here she is. We don't have these in Berkeley. Maybe the Oakland Zoo has carpet pythons, but here she was. Right outside my house, my deck. And we were like, oh, hi there. I hope you're a Dharma protector because you're a remarkable animal, right? Now, the thing about carpet pythons is they have no venom. They are not venomous snakes, but they do have 100+ teeth, and they will happily munch you down if you're a small furry rodent. But we have a wonderful snake catcher, Tony Harrison, and his wife Brooke, here between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. And Tony and Brooke and their young son are dedicated to educating people about reptiles. And they are, of course, fearless as they pull down lots of the venomous snakes. But they maybe go out and catch 5 or 6 of these a day. People call them, say, come and get the snake here. It's in my closet, or it's in my workspace, it's in my car engine, you know. And so by tuning in to Tony Harrison and Brooks' Facebook webcast, I've learned that he says 1 in 3 houses in Queensland has a python in the roof. You just don't know it because they're nocturnal and they're silent, you know, and they go up into your crawl space. And so they're in your ceiling and they are sniffing you, smelling you very clearly because their tongues are super sensitive to scent, just better than a dog's, they say, in terms of telling, you know, who's what's edible and what's not. So I think clearly Serafina knows exactly who I am. She's been sniffing me, living in my ceiling, or under my floor in this case. And so she was like not concerned about us at all until I reached out and touched her tail. And then she's like, whoa, stop that. You know. But Sam and I were going eye to eye with Serafina. She was there waiting for dinner to walk by. And, you know, what can I say? Here are other local photographs. What is this? This is the water dish that I set out for the creatures. And look who came. The ants are lining up to get a drink. It's so dry in Queensland that the ants are here lining up on the water dish to get a drink. Mai are lining up to get a drink. It's so dry. So how fascinating, right? We have climate crisis here in Queensland with the dryness. Here is one of our pugnacious Asura birds. Are rainbow lorikeets Asuras? I wonder. They certainly exhibit behavior that would typify Asuras. That is to say, fearlessly they face down any other creature. And if you're a person, they're so sweet. I mean, lorikeets are great fun. They land on your head, they land on your shoulder, they'll land on your hand. If you have something that they want to eat, they're charming. But boy, if it's you get between them and food, and they will hunch their back and smash you with their heads. Here is a wallaby. This is our chocolate wallaby. I don't know what variety this is, but he's chocolate brown. And he lives in my bush. I live in his bush, and he's got character. Look at the character on the face of this critter, right? How interesting. What is a wallaby? A wallaby is a small kangaroo. That's the definition. And they are lovable. They don't let people get close. I'd never seen anybody who like pets a wild wallaby much. Have you heard of anything, Ben? People they don't domesticate, right?
Have you been to Boomerang Farm Golf Course?
Golf course.
Just in Mudbury, but there's a place called Boomerang Farm.
Yeah.
And it's full of birds.
Yeah. But people don't get close to them.
Play tee shots and they just watch the ball like this. You walk right through it. They pay no attention.
So Ben is telling us that wallabies and kangaroos are inhabitants of golf courses nearby, Mudgerba, and the golf ball somebody will hit on the fairway and the golf ball will land right beside them and can walk up. So anyway, these are some of the photos. Oh, you need to see Penny the possum. Here is Penelope with a cherry tomato. She's the one we were afraid the snake might eat. She's pretty good sized. I don't know. She could still eat it. Yeah, snakes unhinge their jaws. But this is a brush-tail possum. That's her tail right there, and you're seeing her delighted to have. Here, this is the one. To have this cherry tomato apparently is just what she wants. Eating here. She comes out at night when the snake is out, but they have been in this relationship of predator and prey for so many millions of years that the possums are tuned in, certainly to the presence of snakes, because they will disappear down the throat of a carpet python if they're not careful. Alrighty, now one more photo, which is something that happened here this week. We transmitted the Precepts for the Deceased, and this is a photo of the 170 some folks who received these precepts. I'm right this minute, I'm coming to you from inside. You're seeing in the photograph the Buddha in the middle. There you're seeing the Buddha on live screen, the same Buddha who is there in the picture, only turned around. This is 170 folks who received the Precepts for the Deceased on behalf of someone whom they were sponsoring. People who came from China, from Taiwan. Half of the group came from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Melbourne, from Sydney, from Adelaide, South Australia, and other parts of Queensland, New South Wales. So that was the largest assembly so far here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm. Alrighty. Jin Chuan Shi, do you have anything that you'd like to announce for this week coming up? When you're done, we'll transfer the merit, and I'll see you all in 4 weeks. Jin Chuan Shi, before you start, I wanted to share my appreciation to the tech team tonight there at Berkeley, who is not only receiving my signal using Zoom software, but they're also direct webcasting out to YouTube for people to watch live and then to watch it archived. Further, we have Cliff, Wang Lifu, and we have Kevin, Dr. Kevin Wong, and Sam Ong, who are sending my live English locally here to the 9 of us here in the Buddha Hall, but also into China, so that people can hear in Chinese what I'm saying in English. So we have this, with the aid of technology, we are making the most of the sutra lecture. I just sit here and talk, and the lecture is going out to Berkeley, to YouTube, to anybody watching on Zoom, to, what are we using, Weiho or YYNet, YY.com? Using Zoom to go into China and also live here in Berkeley and in the Gold Coast. So, Jerry, how many people are watching online tonight?
55.
55 on YouTube. 36, yeah. 36 in China. Okay, there we go. 9 of us locally here, and the Vietnamese group are hearing a translation, and on we go. How wonderful is that? So, Jin Chuan Shi, what's happening in Berkeley this week?
We have a regular schedule. Marty will be giving his last Avatamsaka lecture talk on this Friday, and then be the winter break.
Okay.
We also have the Amitabha Buddha's birthday tomorrow at the City 10,000 Buddhas. So people would like to go up for that. I believe there's probably carpos up. I also want to mention that one of the young men of our community, Guo Hua, who used to be Justin Hu, is actually becoming a novice monk at 7:15 in the morning. So if you want to go up for that, you can join in the novice ordination.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Justin Hu, the former Justin Hu, currently Guo Hua, will be becoming a novice monk. He'll shave his head, City of 10,000 Buddhas, tomorrow. So Amitabha's birthday celebration at CTTB is happening. And there will be a winter break while there is a Amitabha retreat, followed by 3 weeks of Chan meditation. So if anybody wants to know the style of Chan meditation as interpreted by Master Shren Hua, City of 10,000 Buddhas is the place to do that. For those of us who are listening to the Avatamsaka Sutra, let us transfer the merit using our English version. I'm going to put it on the screen here. Those of you watching, and it's right there. Dedication of merit. Do we have it on screen here? We don't. We need to have some copies. We should get paper copies. That's what we did in our meditation class this morning. So, all righty. Now, the way we make this work is the dedication is interactive. There we go. Great. There's a song that we sing, but that's just the vehicle for carrying your wish for goodness. In Judaism, we say what? We say tikkun olam, repairing the world, make it a better place than you found it. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva says, Pujie Hui Xiang, we want to transfer it to everyone, all beings. And what's your wish? Well, it's your wish. What would you like the world how would you like the world to benefit from your gift of transference? That's the idea. So please make that wish, and together it becomes a powerful force for goodness. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. There we go. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. All right. Thank you all for joining. See you in January. Happy holidays. Aomitofu.